Let's get started with today's lesson, the challenges of urbanization. Oh, that sounds exciting, doesn't it? Well, here we go. Let's find out how exciting it is. What is urbanization, you might ask? That's what we're going to look into. And then how do urbanization, immigration, and industrialization relate to one another? And finally, describe urban life in the United States and compare it to rural life, which we've done a fair amount of already. Urbanization, that's the key vocab word for today. But Americanization, tenements, those are a couple of words that we are going to familiarize ourselves with today and tomorrow. The challenges of urbanization, we've already touched on the actual definition of urbanization, the growth of cities, but again, we need to understand why is this happening at this time as opposed to another time in history. That's what we need to figure out. So that brings us to this equation. Industrialization. Think about what's happened with industrialization. Work is moving more and more to factories, and factories are centralized. They're in a central location where lots of people come to work in the factory. So they come to work in the factory. That means people are flocking in from rural areas, going to the cities, and finding jobs, working these jobs. And of course, industrialization, when it becomes more and more popular and more people find themselves doing this work and coming into the cities, well, you need a big labor force. Well, immigration is going to provide that labor force and then some. Okay? And it's the reason why we get an excessive amount of manual labor in the cities. And it's part of the reason why businesses have the ability to pay their employees very little. Okay? But these two factors are really the causes behind the urbanization, the growth of cities, and more specifically, why cities are growing so fast and becoming so populated during the late 1800s. So, you have people from rural parts of the United States moving into cities looking for jobs. You also have immigrants coming in from overseas, and they decide that it's in their best interest to stay in cities where there are industrial jobs available. How do cities accommodate for all these people? And the truth of the matter is, they don't have a lot of success accommodating so many people. The one area where you could argue where the best improvements are made is in the mass transit because of the ability to harness something like electricity. You have the introduction of electric trolleys, and you have subways and other forms of mass transit that are becoming more and more available. But when everything is said and done, there are more problems as opposed to solutions in figuring out how to deal with such a mass influx of people. Okay? And one of the biggest problems begins with the idea of just overcrowding. There are so many people that it has a lot of people living in these small apartments called tenements, which are filthy, and really in the end that's where a lot of poor immigrants are going to find themselves. But there are other problems like sanitation. Okay, there's no way to really get rid of the poop and the pee that is found in the streets left by horses and other animals, so on and so forth. And that leads to things like diseases. And with so many people, diseases are able to spread really rapidly. Furthermore, water, being able to find clean water, that's a big issue. And something else like fires, since buildings are so closely packed next to one another, if a fire starts in one place, it's possible that it could devastate a large portion of the city, not just a singular building. But the idea of solutions are there, and there are people trying to help. And one of the areas that we do see a little bit of success in people trying to make things better for other people in the cities has to do with the social gospel movement. In the social gospel movement, you have a lot of women usually who are educated from the middle class. They go to these poor areas, sometimes even live with those who are poor. And they help out with things like daycare or childcare. They help educate people who need an education and also provide a lot of health care. Jane Addams is probably one of the most, if not the most, famous name that revolves around the social gospel movement and the settlement houses. Okay. As of now, though, that's it for the challenges of urbanization. I will see you tomorrow. Bye.